Hey everyone, thanks for coming. So today I want to talk about Bash and shell scripting in general. So why Bash? For many people, Bash is a really weird and sometimes hard language to deal with. And I was definitely one of those people as a developer. And that was typical Bash to me, right? And I just wanted to find a set of rules and principles they can follow to make it more sane, right? And this is something I want to introduce today, just a few simple tips and tricks to follow. And the first of all, this is how you start your script. Super important options, error exit is going to actually always stop the script when the error is happening, because by default it's not an option, not a default behavior. Pipe fail is going to do the same when you use pipes. So super important to start with that. No unset is always helpful when you want to fight undefined variables, not always possible. Xtrace is really useful when you debug, because it's going to print every single expression before executing. So next one is how you define constants. Yeah, you can define constants in Bash using this read-only keyword. Super helpful, because as we know from functional programming, dealing with immutable state and immutable values is always better, and it can prevent a series of potential issues. So always use constants if you can. This is how you define variable values. Always double quotes and curly braces, because in this case you avoid issues with spaces and file names, and you also have access to a set of amazing features, like you can do actually inline replacement and provide fallback values, and a few more of those if you just Google that. So the next one is functions. You don't need to use a function keyword anymore, but it's actually a good idea to always prefix your functions so you don't accidentally override a built-in Bash function, because if it happens, it's just silent. When you accept parameters in your function, please always name them, and there is also a local keyword you can use to prevent leaking these variables into the global namespace. Like, you don't want to do that. The next one is conditionals. Please always use double square brackets if you think between, how many should I use? Always use double, because it actually simplifies expressions a lot, and it gives you access to some cool features like regexes and pattern matching right inside the conditionals. This is a very simple trick you can use if you want to import some of these scripts and you want to avoid all these issues with relative imports and relative paths. So dir name is super helpful for you in this case. When you deal with really complex, big scripts, this is a very minor thing, but it actually improves your readability a lot, right? Just always break this long expression. It's super easy to do with pipelines like that. Finally, even if your script is really small, I still like to stick to some structure, like have this building blocks like main, usage, setup, cleanup, so it's always clear what's going on in the script. And maybe you didn't know, but you can actually attach a piece of code to an exit signal, and you will, when you need to clean up some temporary files or resources, you can actually do it in a proper way like that, just using trap keyword. By the way, you can actually lint your scripts. There's this amazing tool called shell check. You can easily install it, and you can even make it a part of your CI pipeline. Why not? It has really nice online UI as well, where you can validate your scripts just like ad hoc, and it provides really nice error messages, a bunch of links, a bunch of descriptions. So generally, it's a really solid tool to use if you want to explore. If you want to level up even more, I highly recommend this book called Learn Bash the Hard Way, right here. Yeah, it's actually, it's very interesting. It's very interactive, and you actually have to run a lot of stuff in terminal and have to make a lot of mistakes and have to learn from them. So I think it's a pretty interesting approach. So yeah, check this out. And finally, you really need to know when to stop. Sometimes just using something like Python, Ruby, or whatever language you're comfortable with, it's actually better. And this are some of the use cases you might want to consider, to use as a triggers for that. Finally, instead of a summary, I want to say it's actually pretty straightforward to learn these basic building blocks I just described. Just learn them one by one. And be consistent. No matter what you do, be consistent, because consistency is a huge win when you deal with scripting languages in big projects. Thank you.